welcome Skift VP of Research, Haixia Wang.
Thank you, Haixia. Thank you, Brian. And hi, everyone. Welcome to Skift's Hospitality and Marketing Summit. In the next 10 minutes, I will present a sneak peek of a few highlights from a digital advertising travel report that we'll publish next week. So I will focus on 4 areas. Where does travel marketing stand now in budget recovery? What are the marketing and media focuses in 2021 and 2022 for travel companies? And how do travel companies stack up in digital maturity? And lastly, I will talk about the opportunity of adopting a people-centric framework in leading business recovery and growth. The data that we used for the presentation is based on a survey we've recently conducted among travel marketing experts. Now, let's start with budget reduction and see how little that the travel marketing teams were left with last year and what has improved this year. On average, travel companies spent less than 60% of the 2019 marketing budgets on all marketing areas in 2020. Advertising and media suffered the most severe budget reduction, with companies spending only 43% of the 2019 budget on it. Third-party services such as agencies and PR was the second largest reduction category and 45% of the 2019 level. Marketing technology saw the least damage with a 39% reduction from 2019. And despite the rising demand and the promise of recovery, 2021 is still a year full of uncertainties. Marketing spending in 2021 will only increase slightly from the 2020 level. Advertising and media, which saw the biggest reduction last year, is up 14% in 2021, the highest increase among all spending categories. Now let's look at the paid media spending. At the beginning of the pandemic, when demand saw the deepest budget cuts, when the demand dried up, performance marketing saw the biggest budget cuts, of course. And however, as we went deeper into the pandemic and the travel marketers scrambled to capture the fleeting rising demands here and there, the spending contraction seemed to be spread much more evenly across all media channels. With demand on the rise in 2021, digital channels were among the first to invest back in. Paid search, SEO, and social and digital video are all up from 2020 spending, while contraction is really continuing for the non-digital channels. Now let's look at the budget reduction from a different angle. So paid media and third-party services with the bigger cuts than MarTech and in-house employees both lost shares last year, with the paid media losing 6 percentage points in budget share and the third-party services losing 2 percentage points in share. In 2021, marketers expect to see a return to the 2019 mix as they bring back media investments and agencies to capture recurring demands. So travel marketers have been spending more on digital channels than other consumer segments for some time already. So our survey really captured that trend. In 2019, surveyed travel companies on average spent 81% aligned share of their total media budget on digital advertising. The digital share jumped to 88% in 2020, and it's spending slightly to 89% in 2021. So drilling down to digital channels, the 2 largest digital channels, search and social, took in 67% of all media spending in 2019, expanding to 71% in 2020, and it will hold the same share in 2021. We asked marketers where they expected to increase investment in the next 5 years. The answers are pretty much, validations of the continued trends we've been seeing in the past few years. As the central engine of marketing technology will continue to be the most invested area in the near future. And for advertising channels, we know media consumption is still concentrating on and shifting to digital video channels and social, and so is media investments. The power of digital is, so this is a filling in blank, of course, it's data. So how do travel marketers stack up in their digital maturity by using advanced data-driven tools? We will look at 2 areas in the next 2 slides. So only 30% of surveyed travel marketers indicated they have already implemented customer journey mapping and allocated budgets based on journey mapping during stages in marketing planning. But a more encouraging news is that another 46% said they plan to implement journey mapping in the next 2 years. The sample size got very small when we drill down to the budget share for each journey stage. Overall, for the companies who are using journey mapping in ad planning, there is a very high focus awareness stage, with nearly 50% of ad budget allocated to stage on average in 2019. So the percentage increased to 59% in 2020 because demand decreased significantly, of course, but the awareness, but the share would fall back again this year with more focus on the planning and the purchase stages to capture rising demands. More than 40% of travel marketers surveyed are already running most of their ad campaigns in multi-channel fashion, and another 30% are using multi-channel for some campaigns. So adoption is very high; it's near mass adoption already. By comparison, multi-touch attribution tools are still at early stage of adoption for travel marketers, with only 28% currently using it. Although mass adoption seems to be on the horizon, with 42% saying they plan to use it in the next 2 years. The power of advertising. Advertising is powerful, isn't it? Let's see. Can travel companies become consumer brands like these? There are signs that we are moving in that direction. But first of all, let's go back to budget cutting. At the beginning of the pandemic last year, we warned the risk of severe budget cuts on travel companies' ability to survive the crisis. We cited a 2010 study led by 2 Harvard Business School professors. They analyzed 4,700 public companies during and after the 3 global recessions prior to the 2007 recession to demonstrate the importance of mastering the balance between cutting costs to survive the revenue loss during the recession and continued investments to prepare for growth after the recession. And we created this graphic to demonstrate what might separate leaders from others. To test this theory, we asked respondents how their company fared financially compared to their peers in 2020 in our survey. Out of the 55 marketers who completed the answer, 45% said they suffered less financial damage than their competitors, and 51% said their financial performance was about average in their industry. While the sample size is small, it's still worth noting that other than third-party services, high performers did much less marketing budget reduction than average performers in all areas in 2020. Whether this proves the case of the importance of a cost reduction or not remains, of course, to be examined when we are completed out of this crisis and have a larger industry sample to compare. But there is very likely a positive association here. We built this trust framework to provide some food for thoughts for travel marketers. We were deep in the pandemic last year. We advise marketers to keep in mind the 5 words or phrases in building their marketing strategies during the pandemic. Tune in, relate, update, socially responsible, and transparent. I intentionally left all the lead questions in for this presentation. Yes, we're almost out of the crisis now, and we're all excited about the pent-up demand and a big travel bounce back. But let's not forget what has happened because the pandemic will have a long-lasting impact on us. Many changes won't happen, probably won't happen until much later when we have the luxury to digest and think again. A few examples just to inspire our thinking here. The labor shortage backlash in the US, that is really revealing some of the deepest labor issues in the country. Climate change and sustainability action, that's going to become the center stage in the next 50 years probably. And the rising popularity of cause marketing by doing good, the progress of DEI in workplace. So opportunities abound. The next generation marketing might win by having a people-centric mindset instead of the narrower consumer-centric one. So this ends my presentation. Thank you very much. If you're interested in reading this report and other Skift research reports, please contact Anne Duffy for, that's our sales director for subscription information.